is one of the biggest banks in the world thinking about blockchain and the future of finance. We're about to dive a little deeper into JPMorgan's blockchain ambitions with its blockchain arm, Onyx. What role is it playing in central bank-backed digital currency developments? And why is it experimenting with blockchain in space? Welcome to Word on the Block, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forkast.News. I'm Forkast Editor-in-Chief, Angie Lau. Well, JPMorgan started looking into blockchain technology over 5 years ago now. It launched Quorum in 2016, sold it to ConsenSys, the blockchain software tech company founded by Ethereum co-founder and billionaire Joseph Uben, which it also took a stake in. Now JPMorgan is expanding its blockchain reach even more and introduced its blockchain unit Onyx last year. Please welcome to the show two JPMorgan blockchain leaders, Christine Moy, who's the global head of Liink, formerly known as IIN or the Interbank Information Network, and Naveen Mallela, global head of Coin Systems. Christine and Naveen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Angie.
I love that we are in despite COVID and despite lockdown, we've got, US presence in Christine, we've got Asia presence in both Naveen and I, and we're making things work. But JPMorgan is making it work as well, and expanding your team. I know you've got quite a few positions to fill right now in blockchain, but tell us about these grand ambitions at JPMorgan.
Yeah, sure. Christine, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
So first and foremost, Angie, thanks for having us on the show. Delighted to be here. Both Christine and I are very excited to be talking about sort of some of the exceptional work that we're doing, industry-leading work that we're doing. I am leading Coin Systems, which is everything about payments, everything about digital currencies. We are setting up a very large team out here in Asia to work on all things digital currencies, be it CBDCs, be it commercial bank-based digital currencies, be it stable coins. So yeah, exciting times for us, and that's the reason why we have so many positions open.
Yeah, and just to elaborate, you mentioned that we've been in the space for 5 years, and we've done a couple things, and I think for everybody, especially in enterprise, blockchain started out as very experimental, but prototype technology, at least in enterprise. Obviously, it was live in the cryptocurrency space, but there was a lot of what might we do with blockchain? And fast forward 5 years of our journey. We've actually, made enterprise blockchain live, right? So, we talked about JPMorgan Coin, something that was, just like a sparkle in our eyes, like just a couple of years ago, now is transacting billions of dollars a day. We're transacting billions of dollars a day in JPMorgan Coin, and basically now we've proven that it's enterprise grade software. For example, for the Liink network, as you mentioned, we have over 400 banks signed up for that. So we've proven that, not only is it a single, not only is it, a technology that can be, kind of live and in production at a bank, which, is a kind of a difficult thing to do as we are globally regulated. We've got all cybersecurity rules, et cetera. But that we are collaborating with the broader ecosystem. It's not just JPMorgan building their blockchain by themselves. We are actually collaborating with our clients, in some cases our competitors, which is really interesting, and our partners in the ecosystem. And that's the reason why, just in October, we announced the creation of the Onyx division, which is like a whole new division within JPMorgan. We have our own brand and logo and even our own special colors. And the reason why we had to carve out our own identity was because we're doing things differently. We're building shared software, collaborative infrastructure with this new emerging technology. And it's not just JPMorgan building some products and services and selling it to everybody. It's, it's a way that we interact with the broader ecosystem to build these systems. So yeah, that's basically, the Onyx division that we announced earlier.
it's really ambitious. You've got 400 banks as participants. You're using JPM Coin to transfer payments. And now you've started talking about really expanding the ecosystem and the infrastructure, as you said, inviting others to build on top of it and layer on top of it, as it were. But isn't there already a system in place? And I'm thinking about Swift, 11,000 banks as participants there. What is the future of blockchain when we think about how technology is going to supplant legacy systems, or will it?
Yeah. So, Angie, maybe I can take that first, right? If you look at the basic construct of payments, right, I'd like to explain it to people. That's not changed for the better part of 5 decades. In terms of, while there has been a lot of innovation in payments, if you look at the core of a payment, right, I mean, the debit of one ledger, the credit of another ledger, and then there's Swift synchronizing the ledgers. So that basic concept has not changed. What we are looking to do in Onyx, the work that Christine is doing, the work that I'm doing in ConsenSys is about, can we change that construct? Can we turn it on its head? Can we start introducing shared ledgers where we actually get banks to share ledgers? We move away from this sequential updates of ledgers into a single atomic simultaneous update of state. And what that means in simple speak is that you no longer have these payment breaks. You no longer are worried about, your account has been debited, but where is the money, right? You no longer have to worry about track and trace. You no longer have to worry about repairs. So at a conceptual level, that's what we're trying to do. That's what's different from what's been in existence with Swift. We are fundamentally looking to introduce a new way of executing payments.
And that's really the promise. Yeah.
And that's on the coin system side.
Yeah.
On the Liink side, we're actually designed to be complementary to existing systems. We're actually just focused on exchanging information. For example, I mentioned that we have over 400 banks signed up. In our journey of signing them up, they basically said, the holy grail of what I actually want in global payments, or even also including domestic payments, is the ability to validate account ownership and status before making a payment, right? But basically, especially in this time of COVID-19,
right.
This is to prevent fraud. This is to, mitigate returned and investigated payments, which accrue fees. And something that entities can use before they make a payment, or before they onboard a new supplier, or before they, if the supplier updates their information. As an example, you can use it many different ways. And so, we actually took that feedback from our banks and we built it. And we are now live in the Asia region, enabling the ability to pre-validate account ownership and status before making payment. And the tangible commercial output of this is that, at least for even a couple of our clients that we're working with, they're able to make payments into a corridor that they previously thought was too risky or operationally cumbersome. Like either they were doing manual validation of ultimate beneficiaries, or they were getting so many return payments or fraudulent payments that they were just like, I can't do this. And basically with Liink's Confirm application, now they're able to revisit that particular corridor and say, you know what, now I can do this with confidence. I can make payments into this corridor with confidence, which means I can make, I can make new business from a payments perspective. That's on one side. That's basically the user of Confirm. On the other side, we, because, we're a bank and we built this for banks, we have this construct where banks are able to create a new revenue stream from their engagement with this, with this application. And so if you're the bank that's, requesting the information, you end up paying a fee. If you're the bank that's responding with the information, like saying account 123 is Christine Moy's account, have confidence making payment, this bank actually gets paid the fee that is being paid by the bank that's paying the fee. So basically you're, everyone talks about how do we create new revenue streams in the banking and payments world, with more transparency that's coming through. And this is it. This is an opportunity. It's tangible, it's real. It's got a tech stack and a regulatory and legal stack that is enforceable to basically bring all of these things into reality.
And what does it mean for the average customer, like myself? I walk into a bank, I'm making these transfers. Is there an ability for my fees to come down because you've created the efficiency with blockchain?
Yeah, I think the tangible output of it is that your fees can be lower, and then you have more options. Typically there's only like a pocket of service providers, like let's say like the cross-border remittance providers that can like do certain corridors. But now what we're saying is that, the local bank that you already have like an account with, is able to do like, the type of flows that payments flows that they may not have been able to do previously.
Yeah.
So, as a customer, like the long-term outlook is that you get lower fees and more options, which just results in better service and better products.
And quite frankly, that's critical in Asia, right, Naveen? I mean, you're running ConsenSys. JPM Coin is going to be based in Asia. Why Asia? Why the geographical center for JPM Coin sitting in this part of the world?
Well, Naveen is our superstar, and he's in Singapore, so that's the reason why.
That's the reason why.
Apart from that, I'll give you.
Okay, fine. There's a long history.
So yeah, and a couple of things, right? I mean, if you look at the payments landscape, well, US is the US, right? There's domestic US. Europe has the SEPA region, right? And to a large extent, the issue of cross-border payments has been solved for, With Asia, and all of the various remittance corridors, all of the different countries, all of the different currencies, that's where the opportunity lies in terms of bringing efficiencies, in terms of how you're able to move money across the corridors. As Christine said, right? I mean, or to your question as well, Angie, in terms of, what does it mean for me as an end consumer, right? How do we make payments cheaper with things like digital currencies and coin systems? You're able to move money instantaneously, which means, again, what takes days is happening instantaneously. That's number one in terms of user experience. Number two, in terms of how are you making it cheaper? The faster money moves, the lesser is what we call liquidity required at each of the places, to execute a payment. I mean, if the velocity of money increases, the stock of money, in economics theory, that you need to hold, that decreases. So which means that you don't have to have as much of liquidity to execute a payment. And that's what makes the payments cheaper. So those are really, the sort of things that we are looking to solve for. It's widely acknowledged that cross-border payments is a problem which has not been solved for the better part of 30 years. And that's basically, that's basically the market, that's basically the opportunity that we are going after.
Look, you've got India, you've got China, you've got Philippines. These are huge, countries, many remittances, cross-border transactions of 17% and higher. For a lot of these transactions, that's a huge chunk of money and a huge loss of value. So I get the Asia part. You're hiring a lot of people, though. I mean, if I'm taking a look at and comparing what your competitors, your peer banks are doing, they're hiring maybe one or two. You guys have 56 job openings right now. I think we're all really curious to know exactly what you're building and what we can expect to see. This is when I use the word ambitious, I don't think I'm, that is an inaccurate characterization of what you're doing. 56. How's it going so far, by the way? Have you been able to find the talent?
It's going well. I would say, Angie, it could go better. One thing I will tell you is that ambition is not something that Christine and I are short of, or not JPMorgan is short of, right? I mean, but more broadly, our approach has been quite contrarian to the rest of our competitors in the industry. Most of our competitors towards blockchain since the inception have taken a wait and watch approach. As Christine was saying, right since 2015, 2016, we've always wanted to lead the space. We wanted to dominate the space, and we wanted to be the leaders in every part of the stack, if you will. And what we're looking to do right now is to double down on our efforts, is to actually continue to take the lead in terms of commercializing this. And that's the reason why we're going all in terms of what we're doing. And that's the reason you have so many positions open. And, by all indications, that's only we are going to keep opening more positions. So,
Yeah.
Christina and Naveen, I might get you into trouble a little bit, but do you ever egg your boss on and remind him of that infamous quote he said about Bitcoin? And you know, it stirred up a lot of people at the time. And then just to see in such a short amount of time, the advancements in blockchain.
Well, I mean, first of all, if I might add, Jamie has always loved the blockchain. I think at one point in time, he publicly said, God bless the blockchain. I definitely believe in the blockchain. So, he's always been a staunch supporter of us through the entire program. And in fact, that's the reason why we were able to launch JPMorgan Coin. JPMorgan Coin is basically US dollars on blockchain. As the top US dollar clearing bank in the world, we were well positioned to, kind of enable that payments and technology evolution. So I think, whether or not like you believe in Bitcoin is, kind of like another story. And, I think everyone has their personal views. But I think that it's difficult to deny that blockchain is real. Blockchain has real serious enterprise grade use cases. We've found a few of them. There are many other projects in the world that are also using blockchain that, it may not be as vocal, but, like basically if you're working, your head's down, you're building things, you're not really spending a lot of time talking. I mean, we're talking right now because we're lifting our heads up after like a couple of years of work. But I would say that that's also kind of like in contrast to a number of the other banks you may have mentioned, where we actually have a strong culture of building. It's not only like, the competitive intelligence and the market research of what's going on. It's not only the joint definition of strategy with businesses on like, what is the impact? What are the opportunities? What's the potential disruption? From that jointly defined, hypothesis and business strategy, we actually go ahead and roll our sleeves up and we build things. We build prototypes. Those prototypes like get taken through the ringer at the bank. And, that's not only like technological rigor, but that's legal and regulatory rigor amongst other things, like basically getting approved by like everyone who might be inclined to say no. And then it becomes, true enterprise grade software. So if you think about like why, we have the resource, why we're, kind of building up our team and resources is because it is a Herculean effort. As an example, we recently went live with our intraday repo product and the Onyx digital assets network. And that took about 140 people across the bank, touched like 40 different teams across 5 major divisions, like business, technology, operations, et cetera. And that was just, us alone, right? And Goldman's going to join, they mentioned in our press release, they're going to join imminently in the next month or so as well. But if you think about like, that's how much effort it takes to get like an Onyx digital assets platform live. Like when you listen to Naveen talk about like, what is like, the new shared rails for payments, like that in itself is even more significant.
Well, I mean, it's also an interesting separation of strategy. So you're really focusing on payments, you're building that technology layer and cross-border. And then the other side of it is we're seeing a lot of your competitors and banks in this space enter the cryptocurrency market, either, creating custody solutions or focusing on building exchanges. And I'm curious if JPMorgan is also thinking in that arena.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it would with Bitcoin that had gone from, I think it was like 8,000, 10,000, like this time last year to about at the top, like 50 something thousand. It would be irresponsible for us to not be understanding the space, understanding, what's to be done, defining our strategy. And in fact, especially given that we've been a leader in the blockchain space for the past few years, it's not a journey that has just started like now. Like this has been an ongoing journey. Everything that we learn on the blockchain side has, input into how we think about like a cryptocurrency strategy, as an example, or cryptocurrency or crypto asset strategy. For example, the private key management that we have to build for JPMorgan Coin or for our Onyx digital assets platform. It's the same technical principles, of how you might protect your private keys in a public space.
Yeah.
The attack vector is different. The threat model is different because, you're talking about a completely public in the wild, like adversarial, like pseudonymous, network environment versus, a permission, quote unquote, walled garden, like with traditional firewalling and, IP whitelisting, et cetera. But, the core technicals are about the same. So, that said, everyone likes to go straight to the custody part, but really the crypto asset opportunity is much broader. I think that's the foundation, but, I think all of the banks are looking at it right now, and, we'll see in the next 12 to 24 months, sort of how it all plays out. I think everyone has a space, but, they may not all be the same spaces.
I think that's really accurate to say. I mean, the volatility of Bitcoin and other coins certainly, have a lot of those risk and compliance officers slightly nervous in corporate treasury, but the institutional money is coming in, especially in Asia. When you think about coin systems, Naveen, a shared ledger system that leverages smart contracts, this really does sound like it can be used in DeFi or decentralized finance, as we know. Do you think about those applications? I mean, these are products that people want.
Yeah. So at some point, Angie, we do want to go down the DeFi route. At this point in time, what we are very much focused on in terms of the work that we're doing in coin systems and digital currencies is we have a strong hypothesis that, there are a number of problems which need solving in the banking space. We don't think we need new forms of value or new forms of money to solve those problems. What we need is new forms of technology in terms of how you record that and how you transact on that. So that's really the problem that we are looking to solve. As we spoke before, the problem that we are looking to solve is one of, cross-border payments. And again, that's a problem that exists today across the retail space, across the institutional space. And really the way to solve that is creating the shared ledger infrastructure. I think Christine touched upon that a little bit. What we are doing here in Singapore to begin with is, and we've announced this as well. So the likes of us, DBS Bank and Temasek, we are beginning to create this rails, what we call, a multi-currency M1 rails. So if you think about all of the CBDC work which is happening, the central bank digital currency work which is happening, that's at the M0 level, the central bank money level. We are creating the same sort of rails at the M1 level, which is commercial bank, digital currencies. And this is where we are getting multiple banks to come together, start sharing ledgers, start having a crack at solving the cross-border payments, creating new capabilities around programmability using smart contracts.
Okay, so just to jump in for everyone. So JPMorgan is collaborating with MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Temasek, DBS Bank. This is called Project Uben, and it commercializes the cross-border payments network. So we have been monitoring that. Are there pilot trials in play right now, or when can we expect that?
So imminently, end of Q2 is when we are looking to go live with some of the pilot trails. A number of things need to, come together to make this happen, right? So we are undertaking the build out of this platform. We are directing flows. We are in the process of submitting regulatory proposals to MAS to get a formal sort of approval on this, even though MAS has been on the journey with us right from incept. So yeah, we are quite excited about it because this is not about, a DeFi project somewhere. This is about, institutional players coming in and starting to think about moving billions of dollars at scale using this new technology. And, end of Q2, hopefully we'll come back here again and tell you all about the launch.
Well, and while Naveen is doing all the hard work to get that live, the blockchain team is certainly doing a lot of research around DeFi, non-fungible tokens. Like I said, we've been very closely linked to the public blockchain and cryptocurrency and crypto asset space for quite some time. I think it's telling that all of our projects are, on an Ethereum variant, as an example. That's intentional. And I think that as a bank, many did not agree with that approach early on, but now it's sort of playing through as being relevant. basically like, we are so in tune with the public blockchain, cryptocurrency and crypto asset space that, there's pretty much nothing that we won't do. And in fact, like most recently, we actually launched an Ethereum blockchain in space. We actually partnered with GomSpace, which is a satellite company, and Accenture. And we essentially launched a couple GomSpace satellites into space and like basically tested out how we would make blockchain-based payments. So we essentially did like ERC20 token balance updates, token transfers, I guess, for normal like people speak, in space across like a couple satellites and ground station. So Naveen is focused on doing like the hard work of like building those shared payments rails and that infrastructure. But on the other side of the team, we're also kind of doing like weird, wacky R&D things that help inform the overall program. And that's the reason why, we have Onyx as a division as a whole, that we have like, I want to say like both sides of the coins. Like we have like, the serious like payments infrastructure part, but we also like, have our out there ideas and our hypotheses around like space economy, et cetera, and like, running like public blockchains in space as an example. So we have a nice balance on the team.
And when we talked, and I started off this segment saying, it is about the future of finance and redefining what, a bank, once upon a time, lending liquidity, and leveraging that for people and, for borrowers and lenders. And now you're actually talking about the technology that transfers, payments, not only cross borders, but in outer space. I wanted to ask you guys about that. This essentially was an experiment to show how effective you could power payments between everyday objects like the Internet of Things. So if my, if my home needed more electricity, and instead of getting the meter to tell me how much I needed to pay every month, could this happen in real time and almost immediately? I mean, we're talking about the impact to IoT payments.
Yeah, I mean,
which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, it's been a few years in the making. It's like kind of interesting. We always talk about like these, project announcements, and it's like, boom, like they just happened. But in reality, they're like culmination of years of work. I don't know if you remember, but like a couple of years ago, we announced that, we had started experimenting with vehicles and using telematics to connect vehicles to blockchain using telematics. And, that was in the context of like a digital audit as it related to our, financing business to car dealerships as an example. But that was sort of like a foundation of like us getting into the IoT space. Shortly thereafter, we started experimenting with solar panels, actually connected a number of solar panels in New Jersey that are on top of Chase branches, that like generating like green energy and using a blockchain ledger to basically track that green power generation. And we actually did like, experiment prototype where we actually converted those, sort of the timestamps of the green power generation and formed them into tradable assets. And it's actually very cool because like, you can basically have this green power asset that's traded. And like, before you even buy it, you can actually go in and look at the asset and see what it's comprised of, see of all the timestamps and all of like the power generations at what location and, at what time and, what was the weather at the, it's like kind of brings you to a whole level of granularity around data and authentication of these environmental attributes. And then, so, from there, then that's, sort of when we moved into the satellite payments, to experiment. Obviously, it was cool to just send something in space. And I definitely wanted JPMorgan to be the first bank. Apparently, Budweiser is the first beer company in space. So I was like, if Budweiser is the first beer company in space, I want JPMorgan to be the first bank in space. And so we did it.
Well, you nailed it there. There you go.
But
as we watch you as mere mortals here on Earth and watch what you're doing in blockchain, we're all really curious what we can expect from this team next. Once you hire your 56 blockchain employees for your team, Naveen and Christine, you've got to share. But what can we expect from JPMorgan, from one of the world's biggest banks?
Yeah, so maybe I'll go first, Angie. So again, our vision for coin systems, for what we want to do payments, is very clear. We want to, essentially build the next generation of payment rails. While there is a lot of innovation happening in payments in general, most of that is in the periphery of payments. The core rails have not changed. That's what we're looking at revamping. So we want to be at the forefront of creating new digital rails. We want to be at the forefront of offering new digital accounts for our clients. And what I mean by that is, you touched upon it to a little extent. If you think about IoT payments, if you think about the economy of things, if you think about machine-to-machine payments, pay-per-use, all of these advanced payment types require programmability. That is where your current infrastructure falls short, because you simply don't have the ability to express all of these complex rules. That's what we are looking to transform with the new rails and the new accounts that we are looking to create in the future. That's the vision from our part. And, Christine can add on the more broader vision.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, like, what you can expect is that we're going to make it real. Like, like I said, we don't talk about things until unless we're ready to do them and we're ready to make it into reality. And so, basically, hopefully we'll be checking in and we'll be talking about the same things, except we'll say like, yes, and we made it real. And then now we've kind of researching all other funky things that are across the horizon. I don't know what's next after space, but there are many exciting things that we're seeing, coming out of the public.
Mars, Christine, we're going to go to Mars.
Yeah, you got to do that Elon Musk thing with Mars. Who knows? Anything is possible, and certainly that is the final frontier. The technology frontier of blockchain is expansive still. It was great to talk to both of you. I'm going to invite you back on the show and fill us in as to all the stuff you've accomplished in a short 12 months from now. How's that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Looking forward to it. Naveen, get it. Got to get it live. I called it. I said we're going to get it done. So I got to do it.
Naveen Malala, we've got Christine Moy here. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us on the latest episode of Word on the Block. And everyone, it was great to have you joining us on our show as well. I'm Angie Lau, Forkast.News Editor-in-Chief. Until the next time. Thanks, guys.